The Box by J.C. Welch. Chapter 4. I had to rebuild the box. I used up all the duct tape. I had to switch to Scotch tape and a glue stick. I didn't want to use staples because I knew that the box had been through enough torture. I couldn't pay for the doctor bills because I was still paying for the last time. I knew I should have gotten box insurance instead of medical insurance for Nikki, but Nikki didn't need box insurance. She lived in a house. Those patches cost me $1.370, and all I had saved was $3.57. The dirt cleaning job wasn't paying much because I wasn't paying much attention to what my boss told me. I got fired and someone needed to put me out. My boss put me outside and dropped me in a puddle. I was out, but the burns hurt when I woke up. I took some aspirin, and the burns went away. My legs fell off, though, and I couldn't fall, but at least the burns were healed. I walked over to the wheelchair and used it to get into the box, which was a foot away. Barefoot, to be exact. It was stepping on a tack. Attacked and bleeding to death. Murdered to life and got life in prison. The box saw the whole thing, and without eyes. It reminded me of a time my wife and I were seeing each other. It was a blind date, and we couldn't see each other. We found one another by feeling around and playing Marco Polo. Then we played water polo until the horses drowned. It was a great first date. Actually, it was the greatest date I had ever been on, and remembered. The horses survived, so we had to put them to sleep. I walked over to the box and left. I saw the box, but it wasn't right. I never saw it again, but I saw it in half once after that. I was a magician, and the box was my assistant. The world inside the box poured out into the real world, and the pop stars got loose. I had to get the pop stars back in the box, but I had to drag Michael Jackson and Justin Timberlake kicking and screaming to get them back in the box. Britney Spears and Madonna didn't put up much of a struggle. They liked the box. After that, I promised myself I couldn't let that happen again, so I had to tape the box shut. If it would have been a female box, it would have been hard. That was dirty, but my head is dirty too, unless you're talking about a clean head. One time I forgot to clean behind my ears, and it spread. I spread it on bread and ate it. Before I knew it, the box was taped shut, but I had no way to get in it. I decided to take the tape off and tape it from the inside. The box lost a lot of hair, but it was okay when all said is done. The tape sounded so great from in there. The recording was really good. No skips, no noise reduction. I was stuck inside the box, though, like I was in the womb again. It was warm and wet inside. The rain gets in all the time. I think it was sitting in a puddle. The world inside the box seemed to change, and the mood became depressing. The pink bunnies went into hibernation, and the pop stars wouldn't stop singing about heartbreak. I wanted to get out, but I was stuck. The walls seemed to close in on me, and the world got darker. Probably because of my shadow, but still. Britney Spears was practically on top of me, which I wouldn't have minded if she wasn't a pop star. I couldn't get her off, but then again she couldn't get me off either. We were stuck together, and not in a good way. So I was stuck in between two dead women in a box, and if it couldn't get any worse, I was starving. Being squeezed in between two women always did that to me, but it was worse, because the use of my mouth was gone. "I'm hungry. Can I please have something to eat?" I pleaded, but they must have thought I was from Turkey or something. My hands wouldn't work either, and I couldn't feel anything. I was trying to reach for an apple, but Brittany just wanted to go clubbing with Paris Hilton. I had no choice but to go to the club. I wish I had a club. I'd beat myself to death with it right now. The music was horrible, and the DJ was brain dead. I left the club because I needed a spade. I was working on a flush when Brittany slapped me in the back of the head and told me to get back into the club. I cried, but I was laughing on the inside. I died on the inside and lived. I stayed there until Brittany passed out and I went home. It was nice not being in the presence of such filth. Then I went home in the sewer. The box smelled like a bathroom, and then I told my homeless neighbor to stop peeing on my house. I gave him my jar, but he was already done. I just then had to use the jar, so I asked for it back. I peed and then sat down on my couch. It was wet. There must have been a leak in the box again. If it wasn't so lazy, I would have taped it up. After 2 days of the leak dripping on my head, I couldn't take it any longer. I had to get out of the box and rolled the box into the sun. For better protection from leaks, I used a box of tampons. That reminded me to call my wife, so I went to the payphone. She wasn't home, either that or she changed her number again. I went over to the box, and it was drying up nicely. No tan lines either, but still a little moist. I left for a while. I walked around the city. I went back to the old neighborhood. The memories started flying back at me. Or was it the bullets flying past me? Anyway, I missed being there, and the bullets missed me too. I relived all the old memories. I swung on the swings for a while. I sat on the bench and played with myself. It was dark by the time I got back to the box, and it was burning down. I guess I left it in the sun for too long, and I had to put out the box with the jar of urine that I was using as a bathroom. The box suffered 500-degree burns, and I suffered minus 20-degree burns. It was cold outside, but the sun was up. I hardly recognized the box. It looked like a burnt box. It smelled like pee inside, and the box was nothing like how I remembered it. The stuffed giraffe was now a purple hippo, and when I asked him what was going on, he drowned. The trees were flying away, and the grass was light blue like the sky. The sky wasn't there anymore, and the ground shook the hands of politicians. Bowls of potato chips were holding intelligent conversations with drunk pop stars. The nuns with cheese suits were fired and became umpire bats. The world I knew and loved was gone. It was better than ever now, but I never knew how good ever was anyway. The new world was different, and wasn't the same as before. The sponge washed the starfish, and the squid had a big nose. Where have I seen that before? Anyways, I think that was something else. Somewhere in a different box, where the pictures came to life, and the colors were really fake. I didn't care for that box. It was as fake as Hollywood. I really should start the next paragraph with a quote, but I don't know what to say out loud. The box smelled like urine and burnt cardboard. I don't know why, but I needed to get out of there. The aroma was getting me high, and medium. I had to take the box to the doctor's again, but I didn't have the money to do it again. It was complaining it was dying and stuff. I took it to a really cheap doctor that worked out of the back of his van, and the box had his spleen removed. I don't know if he could live without a spleen, but at least the doctor was nice enough to do that. I took the box home, and the box was my home. The doctor did clean the box out pretty well. It didn't smell anymore. The burns were healing nicely, but the world inside wasn't quite back to normal. Where's the naked rabbi? I asked myself, but I couldn't answer myself. It appeared that the rabbi wasn't here anymore. His newspaper was empty. His cigar wasn't lit, and his clothes were gone. I cried because he was the only one that really listened. He really listened when he was reading his newspaper, and now he was gone. The naked rabbi even took Britney Spears' hair that she'd shaved off, and autographed it for the rabbi. "Hola!" I heard a voice from right behind me, and when I turned around it wasn't the naked rabbi. It was Christina Aguilera, and I cried from disappointment. I had forgotten that Christina Aguilera was a pop star. I hadn't seen her in years. Is she really Hispanic? She looks white to me, but then Michael Jackson does too. I talked to Christina Aguilera for a while, but not really. I wouldn't be caught dead talking to a pop star, but I don't know how I'd be able to talk if I were dead anyway. Shortly after that, my wife cold-clocked me from behind, which is much worse than being hot-watched from the front. She was so jealous of me that the green-eyed monster ate me, and I didn't see her until the next week after I woke up in the toilet again. The plumber had to fish me out of her toilet once again. "What were you doing talking to Christina Aguilera?" she screamed in a low voice, because she was still the green-eyed monster. I didn't answer her because I still had water in my lungs. Then a dope smoking a pot of grass came up to me and offered me some weed. I told him I liked Coke instead, and I opened a can. My wife looked at me like I was a moron and accused me of changing the subject. I sipped the soda and caught my breath. I told her it was okay, that it was just a story. I told her that everything that has happened right now isn't real, and that she is just a figment of my imagination. "A story?" she said, surprised, and I told her that I've been writing this story. She disappeared, and so did the box. Nothing but a blank piece of paper was in front of me. The words disappeared too. What happened to my story? Oh yeah, here it is. I found it. The Box, by J.C. Welch. So I was in the box, and my wife was gone. I needed food, but I only had $10,000. I was starving and I left the grocery store hungry. I ate. Bingo. I just won a free lifetime supply of toe tags, body bags, and coffins. I died just before getting my prize. And did I just say B4? Bingo. Again. Today must be my lucky day. Why did I have to die? If you think that this story should be illegal, call 1-800-KILL-JC-WELCH with a cleaver and bury him in a large hole with his box. That's with 37 Q's, 11 Z's, and with no letters and numbers. So I was in a large hole with my box. A hole in a hole, if you will. A box and a hole are the same thing. My box has a whole hole and not half a hole. Okay, I'm done with that now. Still, it was pretty funny, but only in my opinion. I was in a hole in a box and in a deep sleep. Actually, I was dead, but it looked like I was asleep. I was awake in time for my wake, and it was a wake that I could call my own. People really don't get to enjoy their own wake, and that isn't cool. I was alive for my wake, though, awake to live my life. Alive and live on TV. Just kidding, I wouldn't be caught dead on TV. A world in a box and not on TV. I can't afford a TV, but I do have my imagination. I have a whole nation of an imagination, but it's a small nation. I don't have much of an imagination, because I can't afford a good one. Anyway, a monkey threw a banana at me. He laughed at me and skipped away. I wanted to run after him, but I was stuck in a hole. I would get up on top of the hole, but end up falling back in again. I would cry in the box for a while before trying again, but I fell back in again. I got tired, but I tried again and again. Finally I got out. I threw a hot dog in the hole and took the box out. I had to put equal weight, so I weighted it down. It was long and big weight. I had to hurry to wait, so I stopped. I stopped at a gas station to pee and bought a Coke. I went back to the box and drank the Coke. The box wanted a sip, and I asked it where its mouth was. It pointed somewhere, and I poured the Coke down the wrong hole. It ate the Coke instead, and it thanked me. That reminded me of a time I was on vacation in Alaska with my wife for the warm climate. I was in an igloo trying to keep warm when I accidentally set the igloo on fire. As the igloo burned down, I froze to death. My wife buried me in the snow, and I found a dead Eskimo to shack up with. Another good time with the wife. The same wife that said, "Till death do us part." But does that mean anything to her? I guess not. Snot? What does snot have to do with this? On a hot snowy day in May, I decided to run in slow motion to the nearest library to pick up a book. So I ran, and ran, and ran as fast as I could in slow motion. I ran in slow motion, and I ran into a building in slow motion. I fell in slow motion, and bled in slow motion. I passed out in slow motion, and slept in slow motion. I woke up in slow motion on the ground in slow motion, and then I got up in slow motion. I continued running in slow motion, but it looked like I was walking, but I was running in slow motion. It took me 48 days to get to the library, and it was just around the corner. Another chapter down. If you liked my video, please press the like button, and if you really liked my video, press the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.